announcements, none. Papers have been made. Questions?
To ask the Right Honourable Minister Mentor, Minister of Defence, Minister for Drogues, whether in view of the various serious issues with regard to the prison services identified by the Commission of Inquiry on Drug Trafficking in Mauritius, he will state if he will consider the setting up, as recommended in paragraph 7.13.14 of the report of the Commission, of an in-depth inquiry into the prison administration, including to probe into the corrupt prison officers and also dealing with the control of drug trade from inside prisons, rehabilitation and reintegration of prisoners, and prison infrastructure.
Madam Speaker, with your permission, I shall reply this P&Q together with PQ B/918 as they relate to the same subject matter. At the outset, I wish to highlight that well before the publication of the report of the Commission of Inquiry on Drugs, I had instructed the Commissioner of Police, the Commissioner of Prisons, to initiate a series of measures to control the entry of individuals in our prisons, including visitors and lawyers, as well as the entry of prohibited items such as mobile phones and illicit substances. These measures were as follows. A, every detainee or any person entering the prison is subjected to a body search at the search room, and security devices such as handheld metal detectors, body orifice security scanner, boss chair, and walk-through metal detector door are used to detect any intrusion of prohibited articles. Furthermore, under vehicle search mirrors are used to check the underneath of vehicles when such vehicles are exceptionally allowed to enter the prison. B, officers are being lectured regularly on their prime duty, which is to keep detainees in safe custody. They are regularly reminded that the presence of offensive weapons may endanger the lives of detainees as well as their own lives and simultaneously undermine the security of the prison. C, the prison personnel continues to carry out strip searches upon detainees prior to allowing them in and out of the prison. D, selected officers are posted at watchtowers and they are instructed to be vigilant and alert at all times. They control and monitor the movement of persons walking on the roadside of the security walls to detect the pelting of prohibited articles over the walls of the prison. E, an application form was specifically designed and implemented to control the access of legal advisors into our prisons. This document had received the consent of the Bar Council. Following this measure, it has been noted that visits by legal representatives to the prisons have reduced considerably. And F, amendment has been brought to the Reform Institutions Act to criminalize the possession of prohibited articles inside the prisons and for such contraveners to serve sentence consecutively when found guilty by a court of law of an offense under the Reforms Institution Act. The Ministry of Housing and Lands is currently conducting a survey of all prisons for the delimitation of zones to allow the use of mobile phones in certain specific areas, for example, in residential quarters. Madam Speaker, following the publication of the Commission of Inquiry on Drug Traffic report in Mauritius, the Commissioner of Prisons set up a special committee to look into the findings and recommendations. Thereafter, as a first measure, officers who have been named in the Commission of Inquiry report has been redeployed outside the prisons where they do not have contact with detainees. Moreover, the prison intelligence gathering of officers have worked out on different possible avenues for the entry of prohibited articles inside the prisons. And on 4th October 2018, a circular was issued by the Commissioner for Security Enhancement at the Gate Lodge in all prisons. The Prisons Department has also established a close collaboration with police for sharing of information and effecting wide searches in different prisons. Additionally, the Prisons Department is in the process of acquiring another boss chair and a walk-through metal detector door for the Phoenix prison. To prevent pelted articles from reaching detainees and to deter those pelting these articles, the following additional measures have been taken. 1, regular vehicular patrols are being carried out to reinforce security along the walls, both inside and outside the prison. 2, some CCTV cameras have been relocated to deter pelting, and a new CCTV surveillance system has been installed. 3, posting of sentry officers at places identified as being prone to pelting. 4, arrangement is being made for the compulsory acquisition of a stretch of land of 50 meters wide on 3 sides of the Eastern High Security Prison for a buffer zone. 5, 1 drone, remotely piloted aircraft, equipped with camera, has been procured for observation and surveillance of the prison security walls and its vicinity. Prison officers have already undergone training to operate the drone. Madam Speaker, I am also informed that with the installation of outside lighting at Eastern High Security Prison, Melrose, this year, all prisons are now adequately lighted inside and outside during the night. Outer CCTV surveillance system is operational in all prisons except at Récidives Open Prison. Open prison for women and Eastern High Security Prison. However, currently prison staff are posted on foot patrol or vehicular patrol during the night. It is envisaged to introduce CCTV surveillance system in the outer perimeter of these prisons at a later stage. Madam Speaker, as regards Part B of the question, as stated in my reply to PQB 474 of 22nd May 2018, I enumerated the actions taken to ensure the rehabilitation of prisoners as follows. 1, pastoral care and moral instruction sessions. 2, sensitization program on drug use prevention. 3, residential counseling of detainees undergoing methadone substitution therapy. 4, medical care and psychological support. 5, counseling on suicide prevention and positive thinking. 6, art therapy and Tai Chi classes. 7, numeracy and literary courses. 8, MITD/MQA approved courses in welding, pastry, garment making, and woodwork. To date, some 205 detainees have been awarded MITD/MQA approved certificates for successful completion of courses. 9, training of detainees in various trades like bakery, vegetable production, composting, basketry, and fiber craft, shoemaking, tailoring, carpentry, housekeeping, masonry, painting, and decorations, and 10 courses in entrepreneurship. Moreover, every 3 years, 2 detainees are granted scholarships to follow distance learning courses leading to bachelor's degree in business management at the Open University of Mauritius. So far, 2 detainees have successfully graduated. These measures are in line with paragraph 139 of Government Program 2015-19. Madam Speaker, as regards Part C of the question, regular maintenance and repairs are being carried out in different prisons to provide a better working environment as far as practicable. The Mauritius Prison Services is envisaging to redesign cells to deter detainees from committing suicides. Madam Speaker, as stated by the Prime Minister in his reply to PQB/804, a task force has been set up under the chair of the Director General of the Independent Commission Against Corruption to coordinate the implementation by the relevant investigative agencies of the recommendations contained in the report of the Commission of Inquiry on drug trafficking and its annexes in relation to 1. Further inquiries that the Commission has earnestly called for a number of identified areas. 2. Those cases where names have been mentioned. 3. Cases where the Commission has drawn attention to but has not been able to gather sufficient evidence to investigate into. 4. Any other matter not mentioned in the report, but which might be related to the above. And 5. A committee under the chair of the Secretary to Cabinet and head of the Civil Service and comprising representatives of ministries, departments, organizations concerned to look into the legal, institutional, administrative issues contained in the report of the said Commission of Inquiry. I also wish to inform the House that out of 87 recommendations concerning prisons made by the Commission of Inquiry, 32 measures have already been implemented, and 22 other measures are currently being implemented. However, it is a fact that the implementation of a few other measures may take some time as they require amendments to legislation or a major change in policy decision. Since a series of measures have already been initiated at the level of prisons and the task force is already conducting its assignment, it is not intended at this stage to set up an inquiry as requested by the leader of the opposition.
Madam, it is not myself requesting the inquiry, it is the Commission of Inquiry on Drugs. May I just say, Madam, that the Right Honourable Minister Mento paints a very rosy picture of the situation in prisons. This is completely at odds with the Commission of Inquiry published only 3 months ago. My first question relates to the headquarters of the mafia, which apparently, according to the Commission, are found in the prison service, in the prisons themselves. In particular, Madam Speaker, the 30 or so prison officers which have been arrested, placed on bail, mainly for drug trafficking, most of them for drug trafficking. These same prison officers have been reinstated into the prison service, and most of them, does the Honourable Minister Mento know, most of them have been posted to high security prisons. Does he find it normal that prison officers found trafficking in drugs, awaiting trial on bail, or working inside high security prisons in Mauritius at this moment?
Madam Speaker, the question that is being put by the leader of the opposition tries to show that all prison officers are corrupted, and therefore we should get rid of all of them. Those police officers, prison officers, like any other officers in the service, when they are caught doing things that are unlawful, they are interdicted, they keep on getting their pay every end of the month, and I know personally many of them work outside also, so they are better off. In fact, I asked the Commissioner of Prison that they should not stay on interdiction. When the case will come to court, they will be found guilty, then relevant actions will have to be taken. But in the meantime, make them work, but not in position where they will be in contact with detainees. I have been told that those who have been taken are working outside and they have nothing to do with prisoners. Out of 22 officers recalled, only 9 relate to drugs. They are all posted outside the prisons. And I must say that the present Commissioner of Prisons is doing a marvelous job. I am happy, I am satisfied, and I think he should be given the chance to complete everything that he intends doing. And I must say that the situation in the prison generally has improved considerably.
I asked the Minister Mento to verify the information, because my information is that a number of these prison officers are in fact posted at the high security prisons. Some are in charge of the watchtowers that you are mentioning, and this is the situation today. So I'd like the Honourable Minister Mento to verify this situation. I'd like to ask him the second question concerning one Mr. Ram Etwaro, arrested 2 weeks ago with a substantial amount of drugs on him. But I tell you, well, the Honourable Minister Mento know whether he has implicated any senior prison officers in his declaration.
Well, the leader of the opposition has got wrong information in the first part of the question that he has just put. And insofar as Ketwaru is concerned, I need a specific question so that I can answer that. I have no information on that.
Speaker, I'll come now to some very serious allegations named by one notorious drug dealer called Siddiq Islam. Now, Mr. Siddiq Islam went in front of the commission and called the commission, handed over powder, which turned out to be lanat, synthetic drugs, etc. He actually implicated one prison officer and saying that that prison officer came under instructions of the present Commissioner of Prisons. These are all facts, Madam Speaker. I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister Mento what has happened to that one prison officer implicated in a case of attempted murder, no doubt, what happened to him, and whether he's aware of what happened to this person, and what's happened since then to this statement by Siddiq Islam a year ago.
Well, I don't have all this information. I can't answer. Come with specific questions on specific individuals.
How can the Honourable Minister Mento say he's happy with the Commissioner of Prisons, he's happy with everything happening, yet he's not aware that a notorious Siddiq Islam has directly blamed his Commissioner of Police, which I've just received a garland from him? I think, Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister Mento must take this thing seriously.
Well, if the leader of the opposition believes Mr. Islam, that's his own business. I don't believe him. It's all lie.
It's not a question of believing or not believing Mr. Siddiq Islam. I am going by the Commissioner of Inquiry, which said, by the way, in page 39, maybe the Prime Minister, Honourable Minister, has not read, of the dirty role of senior prison officers, quote unquote, Madam Speaker. This is what the Commissioner Lam Shang Leen has said, not me. So I'm asking again. He has asked Commissioner Lam Shang Leen for an in-depth inquiry, in particular with regard to what Siddiq Islam has said. So what is the Honourable Minister Mento still going to stand behind this Commissioner of Prisons and all these senior prison officers which have been blamed severely in the Commission of Inquiry?
Well, all these cases mentioned, inquiry is being made. And I've just been given an information that the task force will inquire also into cases where names have been mentioned in the report of the Commission of Inquiry.
Le Ministre Mento fait fi des recommandations of his own Commission of Inquiry, which he has appointed. I'd like to ask Mr. Mento one thing. Concerning Mr. Islam. Is he aware that since making that declaration, he has been tortured and punished and kept in solitary confinement for 9 months against United Nations protocol, against a Reform of Institutions Act passed in this House itself? Is he aware of that?
Well, I'm not aware of that. I don't know.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Minister Mento must make himself aware. He cannot ignore all these things happening, implicating his own Commissioner of Prisons, who is now torturing someone who has implicated him in a case of murder in a prison. What hope can the Honourable Minister Mento give to this nation, which is being struck down by drugs, that he is taking the issue of drugs in prisons, of drug barons in prison, seriously?
Well, I must say that there was a time when drugs were being dealt with in the
Honorable Bilal, you started that. Please, let me tell you, no. No, Honorable Minister Mento, please, can you please resume your seat? Honorable Minister Mento, can you please resume your seat for 1 minute? Can you please resume your seat for 1 minute? Honorable Boulay, from his sitting position, all remarks are not acceptable. Please, don't make provocations and allow the Honorable Minister Mento to reply to specific questions asked by the Leader of the Opposition. I appeal to your good sense.
Well, I must add that if the Leader of the Opposition has proof of what he is alleging, therefore I will ask him to go to the relevant authorities and make the complaint.
Madam Speaker, I am not earning the pay. I am not earning the pay of a Minister Mento in charge of prisons, and I will not do so. I will ask the Minister Mento whether he has even read the Commission of Inquiry report, which he himself has appointed. I'd like to ask the Minister Mentor, Madam Speaker, concerning pay for prison guards. There's a specific recommendation that the pay should be increased substantially. Is he aware, has he cared to write to the PRB to ask them to review upwards the pay of prison officers, and also whether recruitment procedures have been changed even for the 150 or so prison officers which are being recruited at this moment in time?
Honorable Leader of the Opposition is blaming the prison officers. At the same time, he is asking me to ask the PRB to increase their pay. Well, they don't deserve anything of that sort.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition is merely reading the report which the Honourable Minister Mentor has not read. That is the situation. It is there, Madam Speaker, in the report.
Ask a question.
Yes, but I need also, Madam Speaker, concerning the 40 major drug dealers which continue to control distribution networks within the confines of their cell. Page 78 of the Commission of Inquiry. I like to ask the Honourable Minister Mentor what he has done to stop the drug ring in prisons and whether he is aware or not whether the situation is continuing inside the prisons.
It is not correct to say that the situation is continuing. I had the courage to set up a commission of inquiry. But during 10 years, the leader of the opposition was a party in the government. What did they do insofar as drug trafficking in this country is concerned?
Honorable Jugnauth, this is the first warning. Yes.
I won't do so, but I am going to great length into accusations. I'd like to ask now, Madam Speaker, obviously, he has ordered a report and not read it. This is clear to the nation completely. Madam Speaker, concerning infrastructure, it seems obvious that we should place wire netting around over the top of the prison walls where this pelting, which apparently pelting of telephones, drugs, guns, knives, lanat, I don't know what is happening. Why such a simple thing like putting wire netting, and cheap thing like putting wire netting to stop pelting, why this hasn't been done up to now?
For quite some time now, there has been no case of pelting. Now all these wiring and all that, it will take time and it will be considered.
I'd like to ask the Honourable...
Just 1 minute, Honourable Leader of Opposition. I said that usually question time would end at 12:05. But since there's a question from Honourable Balumudi, if at some point in time you can give the floor to Honourable Balumudi so that he can ask his question, then I'll give 5 additional minutes for that and we'll finish at 12:10.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister Mentor, why all these things are happening? The watchtowers, only 1 out of 3 or 4 are being manned in Bobassin, and the rest are not being manned. Why is that?
Well, does the leader of the opposition expect that everything will be done overnight? That everything will be done as if like a miracle? Well, have patience.
Honourable Minister Mentor, these 2,000 and so prisoners, they are human beings. Whatever they may have been accused of, some are on remand, what human beings? Are you aware that blocks A and B of Bobassin prison has no fire certificate? It can make no fire certificate. It can make 12 to 1,200 people locked up in their rooms, no fire extinguishers, no fire certificate for blocks A and B, and in fact for the whole of Bobassin prison.
There has been so far no fire there.
Madam Speaker, what is shame, Madam Speaker. Shame. Are you aware, only aware of what's been happening overseas? How many people, prisoners have died? I think it is even against the UN Convention, what the Honourable Minister Mentor has just said. Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Mr. Mento whether he is aware that they have 150 cameras in Bobasa. 150. But as usual, there's always a problem with this government. Only one officer monitoring 150 cameras on 24 screens for hours at up to 6 hours at a time. Does it find it even logical that this situation should exist?
They have been talking against Safe City project. Yes. And from time to time they come and say, here there must be camera, there must be camera. Well, cameras are coming and they will be there everywhere.
My last one and then I'll give the floor. Honourable, the Commissioner Lam Shang Leen has done an excellent report. It's a shame that your government has not applied hardly any of it. Now, Honourable, the Commissioner Lam Shang Leen has said that he wants to, Lam Shang Leen has said that there should be it's not funny, eh? There should be a juge d'application des peines, so that for rehabilitation and reinsertion purposes, which is, as he says himself, the ultimate goal of imprisonment, that the juge d'application des peines should be set up, a system should be set up by government so that the trend in recidivism, which has been increasing under this government, can be reversed. Can I have his opinion on what will happen to this proposal?
Well, it doesn't mean that every recommendation is a secret one. We are not bound to agree with everything that has been said in the report. And this last question, in favor of prisoners. Well,
Honourable Leader of Opposition, please.
From what we have been hearing so far, do they really deserve it?
Yes, Honourable Balamudi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Recently, there have been 2 arrests in the prison compound, namely a nursing officer, Kodabakas, and Etoyo Ram with Kodabakas with synthetic drugs, and Etoyo with 61 grams of drugs. Can I ask the Honourable Minister Mento, what action each and every person is supposed to be searched before they enter the prison? Whether at the prison level there have been an inquiry to find out how these drugs, by the 2 civilians, they are not police officers or prison officers. One is a cook and the other one is a nursing officer. How these drugs enter the prison?
Well, if they have been found with drugs, it means they must have been searched. And therefore, there certainly must be an inquiry going on. We'll have to wait and see what is the result. Most likely there will be prosecution in such cases. Yes, the police is inquiring.
There was a team known as 24/7 which were allowed to enter the prisons without any search, and they were allowed to enter the prison at any time. Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether this 24/7 is still operational and whether they are allowed to enter the prison without any search and at any time, especially at night?
It is no more so, Madam Speaker.
One of the recommendations of the report is that articles are being thrown over the wall. Is the Honourable Minister Mento aware that up to today, there is no 24-hour cover on the tower at most of the prison? Up to last night.
Well, I think the Honourable Member has been misinformed. I have just enumerated all the actions that have been taken, and lately there has been no pelting whatsoever.
Yes. Honourable Mr. Mento, whether with regards to rehabilitation, is he aware that since cigarette has been banned, for the last week, more than 10 days, all the shop, carpentry, masonry, etc., has been closed as a punition for all those who want to earn a cigarette?
I don't know, the all have been closed. Maybe I can get some information about that.
No. Last question will be followed. No, you have already asked 3 questions, Honorable Balmoody. Sorry. Last question.
My information, which has just come to me, is that what is being stated by the honourable member is not true at all.
Last question, Honourable Leader of Opposition. Last question for you. 1 minute left.
Okay, Madam Speaker, let me ask the Minister Mentor. I'm sure this one must be aware that recently a prison officer had been recruited and was found, in fact, had been arrested on bail and charged with double murder. And this one has been found. What is the problem with the system? And how can you give the assurance to the House that no such other case exists in the prison system at the moment? How is it that a double murderer, someone arrested and charged with double murder, can be recruited and working in the prison service? Where was the problem? Has an inquiry been made? And how can we be sure there aren't others in the service?
Well, I must say that that person was not recruited by the Commission of Police or Commission of Prisons. There is an institution which recruits the officers for the prison, and when it was found out, action has been taken and he has been checked out.
Time is over. Honourable members, the table has been advised that PQB 887 in regard to the second annual Future Investment Initiative scheduled to be held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia from 23rd to 25th October 2018 will be replied by the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade. Honourable Osman Mohamed.
Yes, B880.
Madam Speaker, I am tabling a list of loans taken by government and public enterprises through special purpose vehicles and/or guaranteed by government since January 2015 to date, as requested by the Honourable Member.
Yes, while the paper is reaching, can I have a copy of the paper, please? Yes, in the meanwhile, can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether these loans that have been taken through SPVs, being given that the Honourable Prime Minister himself has stated that the monthly repayment of these special purpose vehicles is ensured by government, whether these are included in the national debt figure?
Yes, all the figures are being included when taking into consideration the calculation for the public sector debt.
Yes. Furthermore, can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether, being given that these loans are being guaranteed by government and when they are being implemented by special purpose vehicles, whether all tendering procedures follow scrupulously the provision of the Public Procurement Act, or these companies or private companies, they follow their own tendering procedure?
I can assure the Honourable Member that all procedures with regard to regulations and to the law are being abided to.
Yes. In reply to my question earlier this year, the Honourable Prime Minister has stated that our debt level has moved from 2014 to 60.7%, then to 62.9%, and now it is hovering at 65%, which is way above the provision of the public of the law. Now, being given that special purpose vehicles are currently being used, can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether going forward special purpose vehicles will still be used and whether their counting in the national debt is exactly the same as it is when we borrow through, when central government borrow through line of credit?
Madam Speaker, I fail to understand this question because I have stated that any loan that is being taken by special purpose vehicle, whereby that special purpose vehicle is owned by government, that figure goes into the calculation for the public sector debt. I can't be clearer than that. So I can assure the member that everything is being taken into consideration for the calculation.
Ask the Honourable Prime Minister with regards to the 500 million USD that was taken from Exim Bank of India and channeled through the SBM Limited. Can we know how much fund has been disbursed so far, and can we have a list of the projects for which the money was used? I know the Honourable Minister doesn't have the list. Can he circulate the list?
If the Honourable Member would have been following what we have been given in terms of information in this House, I took the care and the pain, I must say, to provide during the last presentation of the budget, although I was not obliged to do so, I tabled in this very House, and you can look at the website of the Ministry of Finance, you will see that there is a list of all the projects that are going to be financed by the line of credit. And so far, we have not drawn any amount from that line of credit.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I don't share the views expressed by Prime Minister with respect to allocation of tender. Will the Prime Minister state whether the special purpose vehicle has been tailor-made to favor bidders or close to the regime?
You can only say that in Parliament here. You can't say that outside. I ask you to say that outside. Madam Speaker, I know what the Honourable Member is referring to. In fact, this is another instance where he is attacking India again. Because he knows very well that with the financing that we are getting from India, part of that financing is in terms of grant. And he knows very well what are the regulations that apply, what is the law that apply in case we are getting a grant from a friendly country as India. There is also provided in the law that that government can recommend for a particular project a contractor from that country. And this is where the Honourable Member is saying that we are favouring one particular or the other contractor. But I tell him to go and see the law, and I refer him again to what, I remind him, maybe he's forgotten himself, what he stated in this very House in his intervention during budget time, where he attacked India, where he attacked the High Commissioner of India.
I am on my feet. Honorable Bulal, not from a sitting position. This is the second time I am telling you that any remarks from a sitting position is not acceptable. But if you have a point of order, Honorable Shakil Mohammed, you stand up and make your point of order. But you can't, from a sitting position, make all sorts of remarks. Yes, next question, Honorable Bhagwan.
B881, Madam.
Madam Speaker, Following an international advertisement and a selection exercise, Mr. FPG was appointed Chief Executive Officer of the Economic Development Board on 26th of July 2018 in accordance with Section 10(1) of the Economic Development Board Act. He assumed duty on 20th of August 2018. Mr. FPG, a French national, holds a master's degree in electronic engineering from École Centrale, Marseille, France. He has an international career path with over 38 years of experience and has, inter alia, been part of a senior management team of a global company engaged in microelectronics, with the last 12 years as president of the group for Greater China and South Asia, based in Singapore. As part of his career, Mr. FPG has also held various non-executive positions, including the chairperson of the EU Asian Business Council and of Commerce and Industry, France-Taiwan. He has also been the board director and chairperson of the Audit Committee of the Singapore Economic Development Board. It is on the basis of his track record, in particular with regard to his expertise and international networks, that the Economic Development Board has offered Mr. FPG a contract of 3 years with a gross monthly salary of $27,000, together with a housing allowance of 100,000 rupees. He is also entitled to a chauffeur-driven car and to 2 business class air tickets on a yearly basis.
Can I know from the Prime Minister whether the Economic Development Board is fully operational by now?
Well, depends what you mean by fully operational. It is operating, but I don't know where you are getting at. Is it in terms of whether there has been recruitment of all human resources? I believe they're still looking into recruitment exercises that are, I believe, ongoing.
The Prime Minister gave assurance to the House. From what we understand, that there are recruitments which are in process and which would be implemented, will be affected. Can the Prime Minister give assurance that there at the EDB it won't be job for the boys and we'll see political agents appointed at the board?
Madam Speaker, I mean, this matter has been raised before again, but let me say, perhaps there were apprehensions that with the setting up of the EDB, the board itself, apprehensions from the opposition that we would be probably favoring nomination of certain people. But if you look at the composition of the EDB as it is today, you will see that there are no one who has been involved either closely or by far in politics or directly or indirectly with any of the parties in government. So we have made it a point to choose people who are basically in business, people who have experience, and people who will be able, in fact, to contribute in a fruitful manner for the operation of the EDB. I'm told that the recruitment of this, the recruitment of the CEO itself shows the way where we have put emphasis on competence, on skills for that very important agency.
May I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, I presume you must have met the new gentleman, the new CEO, whether he has raised with him the dismal record of EBB to date, in terms of its principal goal, that is attracting FDI. The figures were published this week by the Bank of Mauritius, 4 billion rupees shortfall compared to the same period last year, first 6 months of last year, 30% less, and not 10% as was in the paper yesterday, 30% less FDI into Mauritius in 2018 first half compared to 2017 first half. Has he raised that with EDB and with the new CEO?
Yes, Honourable Leader of Opposition, I just want to draw your attention to the fact that the question relates to conditions of contract of appointment and the total monthly pay packet. So that, roping in additional statement with regard to the economy is not accepted. Ask your question, but be concise, please.
Can I just take you back to the previous answer by the Prime Minister just now, saying that EDB is performing perfectly well? He just answered that. And this is the reply to his question. This is why the question was asked from opening of the debate by the Prime Minister himself, Madam Speaker. Yes, he did.
Look, Madam Speaker, anyway I can answer. I mean, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, let me remind him that for the last financial year, the level of FDI has been increasing from the previous year. Yes, you can check. I don't have the figures with me, but I can provide you with the figures. But you are talking about comparing one period with another. Let us reach the end of the year when we will be able to compare figures, and then we will see. But not après la mort l'artisan. A match is played in 90 minutes, not half time. So you want to compare half time. Wait for the final whistle. Wait for the referee to blow the final whistle. Then you will see the figures.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Prime Minister did not answer the question whether he has recently met this gentleman. But can I ask him if this has been the case, or if he will meet him in the near future, and will he raise with him the two problems that are impeding the progress of this institution? The first one being the frustration of former employees of the FSPA and the Enterprise Mauritius, who feel that they are not being given the right treatment in this new environment. And secondly, the delay in kickstarting all the major projects that have been announced by the Minister himself in his recent budget: the National Electronic Licensing, the Regenerating Scheme, the Sheltered Farming Scheme, the Film Production Scheme, the Sandbox License Committee. All these projects have to be kickstarted.
Well, maybe the Honourable Member is not well informed, I must say. He has mentioned numerous projects. I'm just answering from memory. The sheltered farming. I myself, I was there for the inauguration. We have already launched it. Of course, it is ongoing. The other projects which I just listened, I couldn't catch all the projects that have been mentioned. Some of them I know are in the pipeline. So, I mean, we have to, things do not come and cannot be materialized just the other day. So, of course, all these are being done. Now, with regard to my meeting, yes, of course, I have been meeting on and off the CEO, and of course there are issues pertaining to investment, to FDI, to projects that are being discussed.
Next question, Honourable Bagwan.
B88, Madam.
Madam Speaker, I am informed by the officer in charge of the Mauritius Broadcasting Corporation that the industrial relations prevailing at the corporation are not tense. As a matter of fact, the Mauritius Broadcasting Staff Services Association, the only registered trade union at the MBC, has officially written to the officer in charge of the corporation on the 10th of October 2018 to thank the chairperson, the members of the board, and the top management for their collaboration and fruitful negotiations in the interests of the employees of the corporation. The officer in charge has further pointed out that the top priorities of the MBC board are to maintain sound working relations and conditions within the corporation, as well as to ensure a conducive working environment for the welfare of the employees. It is also the prime responsibility of management to administer sound discipline within the corporation, and employees are required to adhere to policies, rules and regulations in force at the MBC. Towards that end, and in the spirit of good industrial relations, the management of the MBC adopts an open-door policy and has regular meetings and consultations with the Mauritius Broadcasting Staff Services Association to discuss human resource issues, including appointment, promotion, training, assignment of higher responsibilities, amongst others, and to come up with solutions in the best interest of employees. Madam Speaker, I have seen the article which appeared in today's issue of the morning newspaper, which tends to show that the industrial relations at the MBC are not what they should be. We need to distinguish between sensational make-believe and hard facts and reality. The House would appreciate that the MBC has for years now not been exempt from isolated cases relating to industrial relations. The MBC has also been a pet target. One glaring example of such situations is illustrated by the setting up of a fact-finding committee by the former government in 2011 on the dismissal of an employee of the MBC, which made the headlines. Madam Speaker, this is why I now emphasize that employees aggrieved by any decision of the MBC in regard to industrial relations issues can avail themselves of legal avenues and seek remedies from the conciliation and mediation services of the Ministry of Labour, Industrial Relations, Employment and Training, and other institutions such as the Commission for Conciliation and Mediation, the Employment Relations Tribunal, and the Industrial Court as appropriate.
Mr. Supplementary. The Prime Minister made mention of the officer in charge of the MBC TV. Can the Prime Minister inform the House since when we have this officer in charge and what is happening concerning the post of Director General itself? I understand it is vacant, so can the Prime Minister give us an idea, the country, when a full-fledged Director General will be appointed?
Well, he has been nominated as officer in charge, but obviously whenever the time comes, of course, we will do the needful to have a Director General.
Can the Prime Minister inform the House what one of the qualifications of this officer in charge is that he has made an interview in Iron News stating that he is a fan of Navin Jugnauth. This is why he is behaving as if he is the owner of the MBC TV. Has the Prime Minister had the opportunity to watch this interview he gave on the Iron News?
Well, I am happy that I have many fans now, but I can assure the honourable member that fan or no fan, he has to do his work according to the responsibility that has been bestowed upon him and according to the scheme of duty to which he has to adhere to.
Has the attention of the Prime Minister been drawn? What at a meeting of 17th September, 17 September, last, in the boardroom of the MBC TV, the members of it, one very influential member of the trade union was assaulted, and that was brought to the attention of the Prime Minister. Whether he has been aware, we had the opportunity to discuss with his blue-eyed boys of him, this officer in charge, and what action has been initiated to prevent recurrence of such behavior from an officer in charge of a public institution?
That is why I have said in my answer, the honourable member should not believe everything that is being printed and written in the press. I am informed that it is not true, that no one has been assaulted during that meeting. So I hope that I have, because when I saw that, I also carried out an inquiry, and I wanted to make sure that I get all the information. And I must tell the honourable member, I sought information from different quarters, not only from the officer in charge, because obviously one can say that he will give one version, but I sought information from other people as well who were present. And I can say that there is no evidence, there is no information that anyone has been assaulted during that meeting. There were discussions. There were discussions between, of course, trade unionists, the person who was being reproached of misconduct. But, of course, discussions are discussions, but no one has been assaulted.
Can the Honourable Prime Minister state to the House whether the fact that there are two categories of employees working at the MBC, one group of employees who are employed and the other one working on contract, and this definitely create great frustration and a sense of injustice, and this lead to tense industrial relations?
Madam Speaker, this has always been the case, and it will be the case, because MBC would employ a number of people on the establishment, but there are a number of other, let's say, employees who will be recruited as freelancers because there are specific reasons why this is the case, and this is not something which is abnormal, and I don't see at any time any change in policy. Anyway, it's not going to be from this government, not for the MBC right now, but there will be people who will be recruited as freelancers also.
Next question, Honourable Amir.
Yes, B883.
Madam Speaker, as the House is aware, government has, in its 2015-2019 program, pledged to come up with a new Declaration of Assets Act. Accordingly, action has been initiated for the implementation of this measure. As a matter of fact, a committee of officials under the chair of the Secretary to Cabinet and Head of Civil Service examined numerous issues pertaining to a new Declaration of Assets regime. Subsequently, a ministerial committee under the chair of the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Energy and Public Utilities was set up to look into the proposals made by the committee of officials. The ministerial committee met on several occasions and thoroughly examined the core fundamental aspects of the proposed new Declaration of Assets regime. The ministerial committee has completed its assignment and submitted its report. The proposals made by the Ministerial Committee are currently being examined. Madam Speaker, the House will appreciate that the subject of Declaration of Assets has many complex issues which require due care and caution.
Speaker, I'm a bit shocked to see the same reply to a parliamentary question dated on the 5th of December 2017, PQ B899, where the Honourable Prime Minister stated that the Ministerial Committee of the Declaration of Assets Act had already completed its assignment and submitted its report. And also he stated, I quote, the proposals are being examined at the level of my office. So, can I ask the Honourable Minister, how long does his office need to work on the report which has already made his homework?
As long as it will take, Madam Speaker. Well, I don't see what, I can understand why the Honourable Member is shocked. Not for this reason, for other reasons he must be shocked. But Madam Speaker, you should realize one thing. We're not dealing with, flimsy matters here. We are dealing with very serious, important bills that eventually, I hope, will come before this House. And the Honourable Member has been saying the same thing with regard to electoral reform. He has been saying each time, why is it that we are not coming with electoral reform? We have the same answer. And when we came with a proposal, then it started. I don't want to go into that, what happened. But with this one, we are working. I am presently examining a number of those recommendations that have been made. We need some time, but let's see whether we will be able to come with a bill before this House.
Let me remind the Honourable Prime Minister that this was the priority, les 12 priorités des 3 premiers mois du gouvernement, du manifeste électoral de l'Alliance Les Peuples. So, having said so, Madam Speaker, peut-être c'est les 3 derniers mois, vous avez raison. Oui. 3 derniers mois, je m'excuse. Donc, Madam Speaker, there are several aspects of a declaration of assets. And one of the main aspects is whether to make the declaration public or not. And this is the crux of the matter. Can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister if he or his ministerial committee or his government is agreeable to the fact that the declaration must be made public and it should not be kept in a drawer in ICAC?
We still have some time before the end of the mandate. And as I say, we will see, time will tell whether we are able to keep up to our promise and whether we will be able to come with a proposal before this House. That is all I can say. But with regard to the contents, whether there is going to be disclosure and this and that, that is exactly what we are looking at. And then we will see whenever there is any recommendation that will be made to Cabinet, Cabinet will decide.
Leader of Opposition.
Honourable Prime Minister, to remind the House as to the date of the appointment of the Colin Davilu Committee on the Declaration of Assets. It was sometime, I think, in 2015.
Well, it doesn't matter whenever it was the committee was appointed. To me, it is not important, it is not material to me. What is important, Madam Speaker, what is important to me is just like what we have done with regard to electoral reform. We have been working, we have come up with a proposal, we are working with regard to declaration of assets, we are also working with regard to financing of political parties. We'll see. We still have time. And I'm sure, just like the football match, you will see, we will score.
Ask the Honourable Prime Minister to confirm, so many advisors here, that it was in the first quarter, as far as I remember, of 2015. So we're talking about 3 or something years ago, that the Colin Davilu Committee sat on.
Again, I don't see the importance. I don't see the importance of when the committee was set up, what is being done to it. This is the work of government. This is how we work. Now we'll see whether, because the challenge from the opposition is that are we coming with a bill before this House? Let us see.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It stands to reason the Prime Minister has come up with lame excuses. And since he said that we have to look at it with due care and caution, therefore, there will be no draft. Can I understand that there will be no draft legislation and that it is stillborn?
He's already replied.
I think no, yeah, you're right. He's very rusty, you know. Let me remind him. What did the Labour Party do? You're talking about declaration of assets. What did you do? You are talking about transparency.
Order, please.
You are talking about transparency. They are the ones who amended the law to...
No, I don't think, Honorable Chacune Mohammed, I don't think that you have the right from a sitting position to impute motives. Right? So please don't make any comments from a sitting position.
Well, Madam Speaker, I just wanted to remind the honourable member that it was the Labour Party who amended the law, in fact, to make this even less transparent. They know what I'm talking about. I don't want to dwell into it.
Two additional questions, Honourable Bhagwan. Be quick, please, because I have already given 3 additional minutes. Now we'll give 5 additional minutes. So
I won't be able to run anyway.
Please don't make comments, but ask the question.
Madam, while discussing previous PQs, we, member of opposition, asked the Prime Minister, even Mr. Mento when he was Prime Minister, whilst preparing the bill, whether government will take action to include advisors, senior advisors, and also chairperson of government-owned companies in the proposed legislation which will come before us.
Well, this is being looked into, and we will eventually we will take the decision for that.
Last question, Honourable Ganu.
I ask the Honourable Prime Minister that I am very surprised at what he said in an answer to Honourable Mia. If a declaration of assets bill is not public, there is no need of bringing such a bill. Therefore, can he give a confirmation to this House that whatever contents of this bill will be, this bill must oblige the honourable members of this House to declare their assets publicly. If not, it defeats the whole purpose of having a declaration of assets bill.
Madam Speaker, we have a way of doing things in government. There is a process. Attends to vous connais 4 years. Be more patient. There is, as I have stated, the Ministerial Committee has made recommendations. I'm looking at these recommendations. Eventually, what will happen? The recommendations will go to Cabinet. Members of the Cabinet will be able to discuss at length with regard to those recommendations. And eventually a decision will be taken. So that also will be looked into, I am sure, by the government.
Time is over. Honourable members, the table has been advised that PQB 892, in regard to the value of school materials and uniforms distributed for the year 2018 by the National Empowerment Foundation, will be replied by the Honourable Minister of Social Integration and Economic Empowerment. PQB 903, in regard to the Commission of Inquiry on Prescription, will be replied by the Honourable Attorney General, Minister of Justice, Human Rights and Institutional Reforms. PQB 905, in regard to the elaboration of a master plan for the development of the Benichi Island, will be replied by the Honourable Minister of Housing and Lands. PQB 927, in regard to the request for the organisation of concerts and musical events on football grounds, will be replied by the Honourable Minister of Youth and Sports. Honourable Raghubau, you have the floor.
Speaker, B889.
Madam Speaker, with your permission, I shall make one reply to the parliamentary questions B889 and 890, as they are closely related. I'm informed by the National Corporate Social Responsibility Foundation that since May 2018 to date, an amount of 420,547,986 rupees 30 cents has been remitted to the foundation by the Mauritius Revenue Authority. As at 18 October 2018, funds to the tune of 175,600,000 67,902 rupees, representing 87% of the amount of the 201 million earmarked for the first call for proposal, have already been disbursed to the non-governmental organization. The remaining amount has been earmarked for the second call for proposal, presently at evaluation stage. Madam Speaker, the information concerning the amount of funds disbursed to non-governmental organizations as of June 2018 has already been tabled in reply to parliamentary question B604 of 10th July 2018. Madam Speaker, with your permissions, I'm once again circulating the information on funds disbursed as at 18 October 2018 to non-governmental organizations by the National CSR Foundation. Madam Speaker, with regard to parliamentary question B890, the House was also informed in the reply made to parliamentary questions B604 of 10 July 2018 that the guidelines for the call for proposal for the year 2017 were already available on the website of the Foundation. However, I wish to inform the House that these guidelines have been reviewed by the Foundation after wide consultations with relevant stakeholders and were officially launched on 19th July 2018 in the context of the second call for proposal issued by the Foundation. Madam Speaker, the revised guidelines are also available on the website of the Foundation. However, with your permission and for the benefits of the House, I'm tabling the documents, policy and guidelines on funding, which contain the revised guidelines as well as the accompanying documents, social inclusions, equity and sustainable development, a framework for action, launched by the Foundation in July 2018 in the context of its second call for proposals. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I find that the Honourable Minister has replied both questions together. I hope that I will get some time for my supplementary questions, Madam Speaker. My first supplementary question to the Honourable Minister relates to the delay that has been accumulated for this second call. May I know from the Honourable Minister, in terms of this second call, there has been some protest from NGOs that the Foundation is taking too much of time to approve the funds. Maybe the Honourable Minister can shed some light on why this delay for the second call.
Madam Speaker, as far as the information concerned, the date proposal, there has been no delay for the disbursement. I don't have the information of delay.
Yes, thank you. No, but the second, I mean the processing for the second call, there are delays. Anyway, I wanted to know also from the Honourable Minister, in regards to the disbursement of, from the list of disbursement that have been effected to the first list of NGOs, there is one of the NGOs to which almost 7.7 million has been disbursed, which is GA Mascarin. May I know from the Honourable Minister, as at date, whether what is the total amount that was approved, what that has been disbursed? I mean, approved was 7.7. What is the amount that has been disbursed, and what has been the mechanism put in place to monitor specifically that NGO?
Madam Speaker, this is a very specific question about one NGO, but there are like 400 call for proposal that has been coming to the Foundation, and I don't have this specific question. If the Honourable Member would come with a specification, I'll be happy to reply. Thank you.
Yes.
Speaker, in terms of monitoring of these NGOs, may I know from the Honourable Minister, once again, it's a question of looking at the Council and the Foundation. I'm not blaming the Minister. May I know from the Honourable Minister, the number of personnel that we have today is almost, you've got 6. 1 development manager, 1 finance manager, 1 secretary general, plus 3 development managers, almost 6 to 7. How are these people managing these huge hundreds of millions of funds that are disbursed to these NGOs? Can I make a suggestion? Will the Honourable Minister look into this whole issue of monitoring?
Your question is of excessive length. Honorable Raguba, can you please be more accurate and concise in asking your questions?
So may I ask the Honorable Minister to please look into this problem of resources for the monitoring of this huge amount of funds that's being dispersed by this foundation?
Mr. Speaker, from the first call of proposals, all the monitoring of disbursement has been done already, and it has been carried out very nicely. And as far as I know by memory, I don't have the exact information here, is that there are 2 NGOs that have not been able to implement their proposals, and the funds has not been given to them.
Madam, may I go? I have 2 questions, one for 889 and one for 890. May I go one by one?
I have other MLAs who've asked for the floor. So I'll allow you one question so that everybody can have the right to ask questions.
Thank you. So I understand from the Minister that he collected 420 million rupees from the MRA. May I know from him whether there has been any contribution from the government, because there was a budget of 114 million rupees that was earmarked in the budget estimate under the item centrally expenses of the government. May I know if there has been any contribution from the government?
Mr. Speaker, may I ask him to repeat his question slowly, please? Thank you.
Okay. I want to know from the Minister whether out of the 420 million rupees he collected from the MRA, there has been any input from the government side, because there was 114 million rupees that was earmarked in the budget estimate that was for the contribution for NGOs. Oh, he's not aware.
Which amount you are talking to from 250?
Honourable Minister,
420 million?
if you don't have the reply, please say so. Then you can come later either with a statement or with information.
Madam Speaker, maybe he will come with his question later during the session, because he has a question on the same items, I believe. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, may we know exactly from the some 800 NGOs that existed prior to centralizing the NCSR, may we know out of those 800, how many have been paid in May 2018 contributions of the CSR?
There are not 800 that has been approved. There's about 400 only NGOs that we have.
No, please. Honorable, you haven't understood the reply?
He hasn't understood the question. I just want to repeat it.
Honorable
I will do it
Minister,
slowly, Madam.
Honorable Minister, can I draw your attention to the fact that you have to listen carefully to the question?
The question was, out of the 800 NGOs that existed prior to centralizing the CSR for the last budget, but 2 budgets ago of the Honorable Prime Minister, how many now, there were 800 before, how many have been paid in May 2018 out of these 800 that existed before?
315 proposals are in respect of partnership with non-governmental service providers for a total value of 160 million, while 91 proposals received our investment for social innovation and a total amount of 61 million.
May I ask the Honourable Minister, there were 800, 316 proposals by how many NGOs, and what has happened to the 500, 600 NGOs which existed? Have you cared to find out whether they have closed down, en faillite, what have they done, what has happened to these NGOs? Can you understand?
Even the call for proposal, on the first call of proposal, there were not 800, there were 400-something NGOs only that came for the call of proposals. Out of them, 350 proposals, like I just said, are in respect to a partnership with non-governmental service providers.
I've got one supplementary only on these guidelines. In the list of guidelines, the list of priority areas, may I make a request to the Honourable Minister to please look into the possibility of including also the fight against proliferation of synthetic and other forms of drugs and rehabilitation as well, because in the guidelines I don't see that. Maybe.
Mr. Speaker, when the honourable member will take cognizance of the list that I've given, you will find out that it is already inside.
Honorable Abbas Mahmoud.
I made to understand by the reply the Minister made that funds have not been delayed in disbursement. Can the Honourable Minister inquire about the case of handicap, specialized in handicap? I know a school in Port Louis, namely Century, who is specialized in handicap, yet they have not received any fund, and disbursement is still being awaited because this is creating much difficulty in running the center.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, as I replied earlier, when there is a specific question about one NGO, I wouldn't know personally to keep it in memory. I don't have the answer with me. Thank you.
I suspend the sitting for 1.5 hours.